So I'm going to be talking to you about family and friends and loved ones, and how do you get them on board with your eco values, or even if you don't want to go that far as getting them on board with everything you believe in, how do you inspire them, educate them, inform them of the information that you know is so important, and is essential for us looking after the environment? Well, this is really, it's not like an answer that I can give you in regards to it's the same for everybody, because it very much depends on who it is, what their personality is like, how well they are at, accepting feedback, how open-minded they are, how flexible they are in their thinking, in respecting, your thoughts and your views. Possibly the age, the generation, the beliefs of that person, etc., etc. So one of the things that I suggest to get you talking to them is to find out what their motivation is. So how are you going to motivate them, and how are you going to have this conversation? So, for example, if somebody is a really big meat eater, and you decide to talk to them about veganism, that might be a real barrier for them. They might be very much against that conversation, and you potentially will, you could put up barriers with that person in having any future discussion. So it can often be useful to kind of go in gently. So think about what motivates them. So for example, you might have family that don't have a lot of money, so you could make suggestions around birthday Christmas lists and say, we really love secondhand toys. We appreciate kids don't look after their toys very well, and things break easily, and they cost a lot of money. Would really be really welcome to have secondhand toys. So that can be a motivation for somebody that doesn't want to spend loads of money, or is feeling guilty that they can't afford to buy new, for example. It could be that somebody, a loved one, is has a small business, they're a small independent business, and they might really value you shopping with other small independent businesses rather than using big giants like Amazon and eBay and things like that. So that might be something they respect, and so therefore you can talk to them about other small businesses as a way of a discussion around gifts, for example, or even, have they got any recommendations of other small businesses they know in the area that sell X, Y, and Z, for example. It could be that you want to go down the route of talking to them about things like minimalism, and saying how actually excess stuff in the house, excess toys in the house can really, or just not even just kids' toys, but anything for adults as well. You might want to talk to them about how that makes you feel, and that having more stuff actually gives you more work to do, because you have more cleaning to do around that stuff. You have more things to trip over, the stress of having a messy house. So talk to them about how it affects you in your health. If they're quite an empathetic person, and they're going to really understand that actually you don't need more stuff. So I think it really depends on what it is and how you can get in there with that conversation to start it going. So then think about how you're going to have this communication with people. It might be a different communication method for different people. Some people might be more easy to have a direct conversation with, more engaging, more listening, whereas others might just be good on computers. They might just be good at getting an email with ideas on it for birthday lists, for example. So really think about how's the best way to get your point across, your message across, your request across. So have a think about whether it's going to be via talking, face-to-face, whether it's going to be a phone call, whether it's communicating via an email, for example, and choose a method that's going to work best for that person. Also have a think about whether hints work. So hints can be great for people that have the skills to pick up on hints, and others might not get those hints, so you might need to have direct remarks and comments about certain things. What I mean by this, so for example, if you say, oh goodness, we've got so many toys, I'm just going to trip over them if we get any more, you know, that person might not really take that on board and still might get loads of gifts at Christmas, for example. Whereas perhaps saying, oh, we've got so many toys, look, we're falling over them, to Heather, would you be able to bear this in mind at Christmas, because we really don't want loads more gifts? Would you be able to like minimize it to 2 gifts, please, so we don't have more to trip over? And also, I think, touching on that, it's telling people why. So like I talked about the motivation factors, like actually if you tell people, and they can see it as well, tell people that it's stressing you out, you don't want more toys because you need to trip over them, you're going to trip over them, it's more for you to clean up. If people understand why you don't want the toys, it makes them probably more able to connect with the reason, and more, you know, connect with what you're asking of them as well. Also, just think about whether you're going to have like a real full-on eco conversation with somebody to inspire them or educate them, or request something from them, or whether, again, that's going to be the right thing for that person. So perhaps it might just be like little snippets like that, you know, that 30 seconds is, you know, please could you bear that in mind at Christmas, that we would really like a limit of 2 presents because we don't want any more stuff in the house. And that could be it, you know, that might be all you want to say to that person. With other people, you could have an hour conversation about this, but just bear that in mind with your target audience, really, in those discussions. The other thing to think about is when you have people in your house, when we are allowed, of course, to have our social lives back to normal, think about what things could inspire people in your home. Now, it sounds like a little bit sneaky or a little bit manipulative, really, but I like to think of it as kind of planting the seeds of inspiration. So, for example, if you had literally anything, eco cleaning spray out, who gives a crap toilet paper? It's wrapped in its, you know, sustainable paper. If you've got family coming to stay, you know, one day, and they help with things like washing up, you know, have you got your eco sponges, your eco scrubbing brush, or whatever it is, sustainable wooden toys for the kids on the shelves that week, your reusable water bottle, you know, if you're going out on day trips, your reusable coffee cup. It literally doesn't matter what it is, but every time somebody else sees one of those things, you plant a seed in them. So, you know, once they've been to your house 3 times or something, they might kind of go, you know, I keep looking at that, I really like that, tell me about that, I want that, or whatever. So use your home as an opportunity to inspire people. I'm one of these people that if I have something going on and people are in my house, like, that is the day that I will clean and tidy. The house will be a mess at all other times. So for me, I quite like having that time of cleaning and tidying and like making it look neat, and like, oh yeah, put my nice toilet roll there looking nice, and I'll put my bamboo toothbrushes out so people can, not out, they're out anyway, but, you know, make them look nice, because then it's a visual reminder to people. Also, I think if you're looking at changing habits of people in your home, then maybe look at things that aren't going to inconvenience them straight away. So if you refill the washing up liquid or the hand wash, or you change dishwasher or laundry powders, probably none of them things they're going to even notice. So, like, you could start there, and they might just notice, they might see a box that looks different, and they're like, oh, okay, you know, it could be no big deal. And ease them into it gently. Another way can be also to get them involved in things. So, as we probably all know, if you tell somebody to do something, they can be more reluctant to do it, partners and kids included. So a different approach to that could be something like, I don't know, I've heard about TerraCycle recycling, which means we can recycle probably double the amount of stuff we're recycling, and hopefully that person will show some sort of interest, and then you can say, I think, should we look into this, and shall we find a space in the kitchen or the home to store some more recycling? and get them involved in the conversation and the activity can often be a nicer approach to getting people involved as well. Other ways that you can inspire people and your loved ones by informing them and educating them can be through online things. So sharing things on your your Facebook, your Instagram feeds. It might be petitions, especially if there was something you think might motivate a particular person. You could send it directly to them. You can do things like online birthday cards now, so you don't even have to send them in the post. So you're using the online resources that we have to your optimum, really. The other thing that I find quite useful is my ethical consumer magazine. Don't have it, it's downstairs because I've just got a new one. And to leave it out, so I find that quite useful in just having it out open on the table when somebody in the household is just sitting down for their breakfast or something. They might flick through it, and often people learn well when it's from first-hand information, because, for example, I'm not necessarily the best at articulating the knowledge that I have about something. So like, I might know that fossil fuels are really bad, but being able to discuss that in depth enough to convince somebody who is reluctant to learn about it, I probably wouldn't put up a good argument. So it can often be useful to get them to see the knowledge firsthand rather than it through you, where often sometimes it can sound like we don't know what we're talking about and they're going to trust what we're saying less. So leaving things like the Ethical Consumer magazine out is quite useful for that too. Okay.